Here's in the hall right here.
Yeah, Gary.
Gary, back.
Go Steve.
I don't think Steve's taking all the place. Thanks, Steve is on right up. But I'll check the finance. I think the only one we're missing is Brian Hart.
I might have a video with you. I know you're almost live.
All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started and call this finance reinvestment zone #1 finance committee meeting to order. The first item on our agenda are public comments. Do we have any public comments? Okay, no public comments, so we can go on to our regular agenda item. Which the first agenda item is receive an updated reinvestment zone #1 financing plan and project plan 2025-2062 to include, but not limited to, the discussion of review of tax year 2025, fiscal year 2026 certified tax roll released by the appraisal district of Bell County. Review annual report for fiscal year 2026, review of projects underway or scheduled, or discuss possible future amendments to financing plan and project. We have read that in. I don't have to worry about that anymore. And then really what we're trying to accomplish with this is our goal as a financing subcommittee is to try to get a financing plan as accurate as possible to provide to the project subcommittee so that they can allocate the dollars to the projects that are most beneficial to the city and the zone. So Tracy and Melissa and her team have done a ton of work in working through all the various projects that are underway, the tax rolls that are sometimes not finished and sometimes disputed by people, to get us to a place where we can kind of go through the numbers. So Tracy, we'll turn it over to you at this point.
And thank you, Tyler. I mentioned to Tyler earlier this morning, you'll have to excuse me, I just learned yesterday, I have not contagious, but I have thrush in the throat.
Bless your heart.
From some other medication I'm taking, so bear with me if I go through this. Just looking, I wanted to go over first the certified value for this. As we went through this, working through this the last couple of 3 weeks, we have identified another, I think, $40 million error.
How much?
40 million on an abatement on real property that shouldn't be, unless there's an abatement agreement I didn't know about.
And I guess are we
The warehouse problem.
Are we disputing that, or what is the process for
They're
that?
looking into it right now, and Niagara on their warehouse space, behind Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
No abatement was on that, and they had it abated. And the value is 40 million, so that is not included in my numbers.
It's just the first year that's come onto the roll.
And it come on at a different percentage than even their other tax rate. So,
They haven't. Well, we can talk about
Yeah.
it. That's something.
again, the process, we received certified values, we look at, go through project review, project scope, delivery timing, and we haven't had our joint meeting with the project committee meeting, but I'll go through a proposed amendment that kind of tweaks some monies and gets it the improvements. When we continue to work with, updating our project files, OPCs. There is a big master plan, new plan underway right now. Bob, when do you plan to roll that out? Sorry, I thought you tell me in a little bit.
It's still in the works. It got delayed a little bit with Travis. I don't know if you know that he was running an Ironman, got injured, had surgery, so he's been out for 2 months ish.
Wow.
So yeah,
You know, I've never been injured because I've been running.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
He femur snapped him too.
Oh, I've never had that problem.
So
So
it's
if you're thinking about
been
running
on
Ironman,
pause for a
don't.
couple,
Right.
but it's still. Drafts are well in process and all that stuff, no. But it'll spill into next year.
Okay, well, we'll be working through that in the spring, I guess. This chart here, we look at the top of it's taxable value by taxing any entity within the reinvestment zone. Last year and current, and in the proposed new year 2026. And then the bottom part of the chart is the actual levy by entity. And if you note on the top right four boxes, it shows that various entities that are increasing value. Temple ISD is 7.31%. City of Temple, 233,017,418. Bell County, 22%. Temple College, the 20%, almost 21%. Troy ISD, a little over 5%. Elm Creek, 22.33%. Belton ISD, 1.54%. I was thinking that, when I was forecasting revenues for each entity, Belton ISD's increments pretty much built out of the land space of what is in Belton ISD's, within the reinvestment zone. And then the bottom part's the levy compared, again, the prior year, current year. There was increase in the levy of $5.5 million. But we had over 4 million of that increase built into our plan. So when you compare that to what was in the financing plans to what the new calculated levy is, it's an increase of almost $1.2 million.
Yeah, and I guess maybe just to pause there to make sure just everybody understands what, Tracy's saying on that. So when we build out financing plans, that go, I guess legally, we build them out to 2062. We forecast growth just based on projects that we know are in the pipeline. And then just general, and Tracy and her team are generally pretty conservative about that, so that we don't get to this point and realize that we're short. So, even though we grew, so when I first started, it took me a while to get kind of saying this. Even though we grew, the increment grew by 5.5 million, we had already programmed in 4.3 million or whatever, 4.2 million. So really the only additional dollars that we have to put in our plan is the 1.1 million.
Right. And this, again, this does not include that 40 million of value that I said is abated, that should be abated, so there'll be more there. Here I just like to take a pie of the $42.3 million. Look how that's the pieces of it. Temple ISD is 48% of that. City of Temple, 26%. Bell County, 12.52. Temple College, 8.25, and then smaller amounts for Troy, Belton, and Elm Creek. This is a new chart. I don't think I've showed y'all before, but we took the increment levy for each tax entity from 2017 to 2026 and showed the growth. It's grown by $23.8 million since 2017. And it's looking, Temple ISD was 7.7, City of Temple 8.4, see on the column over there. And then this shows, Temple ISD was 2/3 or more of the levy, or the increment revenue. And they've done, less concentration there. They're down to 48.3%, 48.53%. And Temple's, percentage is never doubled. City of Temple.
I think maybe just the important part for our purposes on this is like as a zone, and then as we issue bonds, one of our, I wouldn't say criticisms, but one of the underwriting things is, that was noticed, we had a pretty high concentration to certain taxpayers, and we didn't have as much, diversification across our tax base, and I think, Tracy, to me, like, this chart shows not only we've diversified away from, one particular taxpayer, two or top five, but it's broadened out across the spectrum, space-wise,
This, I here just shows that if you, the red slice is where we're, typical ISD is made whole by state. So the state of Texas is funding 26.34% of what's coming to Temple of the 42.3 million. City of Temple values, the values for state code, this just shows the composition of the type of property, industrial, commercial, residential, multifamily, builder lots, vacant lots. And that's based on, market, not taxable value there too.
You wouldn't have to have that data as of 2017 for comparison, would you?
I do,
That might be also interesting to look at.
yes. I'll have it here in about 15 minutes.
Okay, great.
This, Gary, this shows some of the data. Goes back to 22, FY 22 is not the 5, but it shows. Again, this is where we talked about these two are really have grown. And then this also shows that where the increase in value for those categories. One of the big ones in the industrial was, we all know Panda One, it's no longer abated, that Panda One come back on the roll in 26, and the 2 comes back on 27. This looks at the 10 largest taxpayers in the zone. Panda 2, Panda 1, Panda 2 still make up 18%. This is the warehouses behind Buc-ee's. That's one of the top 4.
and that was, one of those was left off.
Oh, that's not the part that Niagara Tanglefoot owns, it's the other one.
Got it.
So in addition to that, there's 40 million more in value.
Got
And that makes up 60, again, concentration is lower. Or being more diversified. I showed this year over year, in 2011, the top 10 made up 88% of the levy. Today, it's come down to 60%. At one time, Panda made up 76% of the levy, and now they're down to 37. Combined, Panda 1 and 2. I wish Steve was here. He always likes this data. It just shows their assessed value. Panda 1 and Panda 2. No abatements applied. You got up to the high of almost 700 million in 2016. In 2026, it was 600. Each plant was 334.7 million. This just shows the net of abatement and exemptions.
I think maybe to, we can bring it out when we have the project committee in here too, but like, I think Steve's point on this slide was the Panda values going to decrease. And I think what you're showing, if I'm reading it right, is those values are coming back up.
They are.
That
is Steve always thought they should have been 1.4 billion.
Yeah. Not quite there, but
Um,
we're not quite there, but we're not going down either.
Right.
When we talk about concentrations, and the fact that our bond people who underwrite our bonds consider that operation and concentration. Now that it's owned by two separate companies, right?
Right.
Did they still just lump them together for their analysis, or do they consider them?
It's not, it's actually owned for the first time by one company.
Okay, even though we've got it listed in two places, it's one company.
Two
Okay.
power plants owned by the same company.
Okay. So
I think-
that's all one and the same then.
Now, they do have that operational agreement, okay, no longer.
They do have an operational agreement. They still
Between the two.
maintain that they're two separate entities, but both of them are owned by the same company.
Here, I would say what, they do like to see this from 76 to 37.
Yeah.
Means a lot. And also with Panda, they went through a bankruptcy and came out of it. They, were foreclosed on, repurchased, all that's. We've been through that with non-rating agencies too.
And I think we're seeing some of the fruits of that where we didn't have to maintain the debt service reserve when those
Right.
bonds that we had got called. And we were able to free up some of that cash to plug back into our financing plan.
This just shows the top 20 year-to-year value. I won't go through all of that, but if any questions here? It's Meta for 2026. They were on the rolls at 25 million, I think, based on discussions with them. They should be 100% on the roll. More of it will be on the roll in 27. I think their abatements will begin in FY 28 at 100% on the tax roll.
So the 25 million that you're showing is it's unabated. Because they're.
Unabated and partial
Right, right. So then
value,
at some point. That will go away and then build back up.
yes. We had it built in our plan. I think at 400 and something million. For the real property.
And I
You know,
assume our plan going forward shows it down to zero and then back up.
Mhm. Is that? There been an announcement that their expansions or anything? Public,
The rapid deployment structure, yes.
in my forecasting, I did include the rapid deployment structure. I did add that to our values. You'll see that. And that was 500 million. We split 50-50 real personal.
You know, which was on their existing campus.
Correct.
So, and I think that just as a general structure, I mean. It's another example of like when we have really good companies in Temple, they tend to expand.
Oops. And what do we go into the outstanding bonds? We did have the refunding bonds this year. 125 refunding bonds. The ones in the blue are dark blue or what are your revenue bonds? Not COs, not co-signed by the city. Moving down here at the bottom, we have the interest rate and call dates. Just wanted to go over our refunding this year. The par amount of the refunding was 18.8 million. The true interest cost on that refunding was 4.11. We had net present value savings of 668,000. Total savings on that this year, 917,000. And with that refunding in May, the 2018 refunding, it also freed up $2,090,000 of our reserve funds. And then in August of 2021, council approved a resolution. And we also purchased some more surety insurance, and it freed up those two reserve funds too, on those bonds. So over 5 million was freed up on both of those. again, that was the refunding. Looking at, like Gary mentioned earlier about the credit ratings. Factors that could lead to upgrade, sustained diversification, evidenced by the top 10 taxpayers. And they're setting the bar at 45%. Growth in the ratio incremental EV to near 85%. Continued improvement in debt service coverage levels, and factors that could downgrade the loss of a major taxpayer, reduce pledge revenue from overlapping tax entities, and debt issuance absent maintenance of increase in incremental values. Look at our future increment revenue, in our forecasting, I show expired abatements. Again, this year we had 160 million. Panda 2's abatement decreases each year. It's declining from year 6 through 10, down to 12% the last year. Panda 1's value came back online, and then I show in the future different abatements as they come back online.
So the 143, that's the tax revenue that is now added to the tax rolls.
Where did
Like in 2026 for Panda 143 million, that
value? Yes.
of value that's added back. So based on their current taxable value, that percentage would be added to the tax rolls as those abatements roll off in those years.
This goes 2032 to 2026. This is a schedule, Tyler, you spoke to earlier about, we have compares the net increment, what's currently in our financing plan, what our new increment values are. And that's based on, we update the tax roll as it is in the current year, and then forecast out growth for known economic development, that we know is coming online. There's a few major ones that we have not added that will be, close to thinking, or TDC is that you'll want to come back and look at it, include Sejas values. And also includes the new meta values. And I did increase beginning in year 2032. I used to assume a 1% growth, and I went up to 2%.
And that's big. So I guess just to stay on this slide for a minute, so the current is what was currently in our financing plan amendment as far as what,
And your adopted financing plan as of June, your last amendment was July 23rd.
and then the proposed is what, based on what you just said in terms of
Forecast.
known economic development deals and forecasting. That's what the new increment will be, and then the plus minus is the delta between those two amounts, and then what's the column on the far right?
It just shows the annual, this is the difference in the financing plan. And this one over here shows the growth from year to year, actual increase year to year.
It just absent, so why do we have a negative in 2032 or 2038?
I cannot answer that.
Okay.
I think it has something to do with, it may have to do with an abatement coming up on or off,
Okay,
or appreciation in value.
got it. So 2027 is the first big jump. So that 1.189 is the same number you showed on that first slide of the additional increment.
Yes.
But beginning in 2027, we're picking up $4.4 million of new dollar.
Yes.
And that's mostly attributed to specific economic development deal.
It's, a lot of that's attributed to the city of Temple's tax rate. Going up to 60.699 to 65 cents,
Got it.
has a lot to do with that.
And I assume the 1.18, is that factoring in homestead exemptions and all that kind of stuff that have changed?
The 2020,
6,
yes.
that's good.
Kind of same question, Tyler, like 2040, got an increase 138,000. How's that calculated?
Grow from
That's,
here to here,
okay,
or from here to here.
So we were previously showing a decrease in taxable value in 2039 to 2040. And now we're showing that they stay the same. And I mean, I guess
But
for,
that's getting into your
Yeah.
1% and 2%.
yeah,
When you get way out there.
but for our purposes, typically, I mean, legally, we have to take a financing plan through the end of the zone, which is 2062, right? Which is the exercise we're trying to do, but, functionally, I think we're fairly confident in a 3 to 5 year window of these are accurate dollars that we, take to our project committee and say, hey, as we're forecasting projects 3 to 5 years out, we're pretty confident that these are the numbers. So what we're telling them functionally is, there's 10-15 million dollars of additional dollars in the next 3 to 5 years.
Mhm.
That was previously not programmed.
Based on current announced deals.
Based on current announced deals,
And I
and
think,
anything that comes,
announced
So
later.
Announced
if
later.
Something else that is under negotiation but has not been finalized, that is not gonna reflect in those numbers.
great. Yeah. Yeah, I just wanna make sure that we don't get into. If something falls through or something doesn't happen that we thought would happen, then we gotta go back and. Call some of this back.
and I will say too, that I still think our meta numbers are conservative. If their investment's going to exceed. the
Based
number-
on 10 years of working with you on this, I would agree that your numbers are always conservative and we usually end up in the better spot when they come in.
If
So,
it is that better than me.
no, I think it's great. As a banker, I appreciate it.
I promise you, it's more fun to add $5 million to your budget than it is to cut.
Yeah, well, it might, so I think as a finance committee, to me, like our goal is to get an accurate financing picture so that we can take it to the project committee and say, let's get these on schedule in phases and we can confidently say that this money's gonna be there when the project comes up to
Well,
release.
they're always gonna be as accurate as the day that was put on paper, correct? And so
Right,
conservative is great. I mean, why would you, like you said, a lot easier to add it than take it back.
right,
I think too, you always, unless you're, if you're issuing bonds based on these forecasts, you wanna be extra conservative. But you're building a financing plan and you're plugging in numbers for the future. You always come back the year that it's time to write the checks, spend the money, and adjust.
sure,
And you can accelerate or decelerate projects, but you have them on the plan and if you're too conservative, you might get to accelerate,
sure,
if you do design right away and then construct.
right,
That allows you
It would have been.
Yeah.
to do that.
Is it ever problematic to be too conservative on something like this? Because like you said, we can always adjust, but does that raise eyebrows in any way?
to me, I don't wanna be too conservative because I think it hinders our forecast of, cause like some of these projects, like take the outer loop, for instance, are big numbers that are true. That are carried, and we have to fully fund every project. I mean, we have to show it that it's fully funded, so. You wanna be conservative, but not to a fault, so that you can accurately, cause the other thing is, we try in the project committee, we have. Announced a bunch of design and concepts so that we have, projects on the shelf, so to speak, so that when we outperform,
Right.
you can plug them in
Put 'em
and
on
get,
shelf,
pull them on,
Put them in
you
action.
know, and so we spend a lot of money in design and, conceptual stuff. Knowing that we're likely being conservative in these numbers. But if you're too conservative, then it's like, well,
2%
It's a
increase.
little bit chaos, I'm
Falls.
assuming.
It took a lot, Bob, yeah.
yeah,
I also think in the current year too, when you have conservatism, it allows you flexibility if you're over, under, or need to pivot on something. Call it the dry powder.
yeah, the other thing that comes up, and you've seen it already, but is we get a new, Adrian comes with a new deal. And it's a good deal in a project that we wanna do, but there's infrastructure required to. Whether that's part of the incentive package or, you know, you have to take a road to their, sure, to their mailbox. You know, and we gotta have funds available to do that. It's good, that's a good slide.
Okay, I wanted to go to, I'll pass this out. This is the proposed that, had some good conversations with Tyler and Melissa and I looked at. My number one would be the Betsy increment through the life. These numbers, right, so one. These numbers here. We go through 2062, we carry those out. There's the ramp, and looking at 26, the ramp grant is an annual grant we get each year, and we get $100,000, and zone matches at 50,000. Line 3 is, we had the EDA with Rowan, and they did not meet their investment commitment. And 1.6 million of it rolled into balance
I
at the
guess
end of
just,
2025. And then this is picking this other, for the other 1.6 million for 26 and 27.
I guess just to be clear on that has no correlation with the growing data center that's been announced. It's a big different.
It's the original.
Yeah, different EDAs than from previous time.
The one that I think the company went bankrupt, it was leasing it, or
The Bitcoin mining company. On the 30 acres that was sold to them by TDC is this project.
this lines 5 through 11 are just what we call sweeping project savings, no longer needed.
And these are all projects that came in under budget.
Yeah. It does not include that recent, line A1. That was considerably under budget. We were not sweeping any of that. And we'd like to go through the project group and, look at try to get some better estimates on our right of way.
Got it. And so like all of these lines 5 through 11 are all projects that have closed out and been removed from our project plan. And we're taking the available funds. Right,
Look, all the right of way has been acquired for the outer loop south.
I can't answer that.
It is not.
It is not. Melissa had that on there. Let me verify with her why she has that on there.
What is the question? I'm sorry.
On,
Outer loop west phase 2 right away. We still have some right of way to acquire.
so line 5, we've got 869,000 of basically going back.
let me ask Melissa about that. That could come off.
Yeah, I would want to make sure that we don't release it
Okay,
if we don't have all the right of way required. Otherwise, it'd take a financing plan to put it back.
oh. Then if I move down to the proposed use of funds. There's a rebate she's adjusting for HEB in the future years. On some of their existing. They had a 380 agreement that goes through 2031.
Is that the right number, 6,000?
Yep, it's on a real small,
Let's say it would be pretty exact.
some racking or something.
Yeah.
That's under that. And then line 20 is some project we're looking at. I don't know, Ginger or David Patrick can explain that the 25th Street elevated storage tank.
It's actually, and Ginger can
It's
jump
a-
in, 12-inch water line from tank to tank. That solves a problem that has been occurring way before anybody in this room has been here, and it gets about 1 MGD clean to Synergy Park.
So
Anything to add to that?
while the South Temple transmission line, the ABC is under design and construction, which is the ultimate project to increase water availability in the Synergy Park area. This is what I would describe as kind of a low-hanging fruit project. It will allow us to connect those two tanks and operate them more efficiently together, which will then allow about, as David said, about 1 million gallons of additional capacity fairly immediately in the short term for Synergy Park, which will certainly help with some of the developments that are seeking to develop out there. And so while we need to continue to keep our eye on the ball for the bigger project, this project will certainly help more immediately. And certainly with some of the more immediate water needs, we even while we are continuing negotiations, and as you might know, with some of the future tenants that might or property owners that might be in that area, staff would propose that we begin design on this project sooner rather than later, just again, because it is a opportunity to get some water to that park fairly quickly. Otherwise, we're pretty much at capacity. So, opportunities that come our way, we aren't able to say yes, even in the short term.
Right, so staff, I guess, is proposing to design it and then, is it zone dollars to construct it, or do you have?
We have
Building
no
funds to-
proposal, as you can see, it's just that the design is all that we're recommending at this time. And then as we continue to negotiate, we can
Got it.
bring updates, but at this time, we're not proposing
Yeah.
construction funding, just design.
Got it.
And the intent is for it to be constructed within existing right of way, so no right of way component needed, so it could be designed and constructed without a delay in acquisition process.
Yeah, got it. I guess this will be, Bob, like, we'll take all these to the planning, the project committee, but.
We do have on the December 10th board of directors meeting.
Yeah,
We have 3 design contracts coming through.
and this is one of them.
That is one of them. Then the North Little Elm 15 inch trunk extension.
which is our next one highlighted.
Yes.
Yes. I do show funding the design, construction admin and construction dollars there. I propose for that.
Okay. And I can get with the project committee just to verify that they're supportive of this, but yeah. Or Bob.
Yeah, I would move that. The design
To the extent.
is currently proposed to be on the December meeting for those two projects,
Well,
the
the-
25th.
I think she's saying the design for the 25th and the full slate for the North Little Elm. Is that correct?
The design contract or contracts will be on the agenda. I'm recommending in the financing plan to fund design for 25th Street. Design, construction admin and construction for the North Little M
Yeah.
trunk extension.
Yeah.
And then there's also going to be a design contract, East Outer Loop, Tire Road and FM 3117 compliance design. And that proposal is 100. Oh, man. That's the construction, 168 million.
Yeah.
But
But it's also all the way 10 miles of road. So it's long.
that is already funded in the current financing plan.
The design,
The design.
that will not be on the December 10th.
It'll be a contract, but not a financing plan.
And then there's also a contract amendment for the South Temple Transmission Line A for survey work for A2, 3, and 4, I think. So that we can get the right-of-way process started for those lines. So A1 has been awarded and is about to proceed. I think, Ginger, you said tomorrow they're gonna get an NTP.
Monday is the
Monday.
NTP date. The 10-month construction.
So they're underway with the first phase because it was not significant right of way acquisition. There's pretty significant right of way acquisition for 2, 3, and 4 on line A. So we would like to get an idea of what we need to set aside for right of way. We need those surveys to get that top line number. And then there's some opportunity to potentially talk about accelerating some of the work and maybe doing a contract amendment for some of the work on line B1, I think is the phase that is primarily in the Georgetown Railroad right of way. So before we make that decision, we'd like to have the idea on what the right of way budget needs are for line A so that can get started. And so that is what this contract amendment will be. It doesn't need a financing plan amendment, but it would be on the December 18th agenda. I'm sorry, the
December 10th.
10th agenda for consideration.
Great. Tracy, you want to keep going on these?
Yes. Line 34 is the grant.
That's just the airport.
We get a 50,000 revenue. So we get $100,000 project and 50,000 of it's grant.
And we didn't have that previously programmed, because I thought we programmed that ongoing.
Oh, it's not, Melissa has it on the paper, so it's not. I
Okay,
don't think it is.
maybe it was an additional grant. Cause
I don't think it's an additional grant. But I'll clarify that.
yeah, maybe
too,
just
sorry.
check into that. And I guess for everybody else that hadn't seen it, I mean, I think there was years in the past going back where, we didn't know that there were grants available, and so we basically instructed the airport, like, anytime that we can get a matching grant, which it's almost annual.
90-10,
Yeah, it's like 90-10 that we don't miss a grant. So
that
that,
leverages our dollars.
I thought I understood it. That went up this year.
I don't know.
Our match went, our match went down, I think.
The match went down, but I thought the amount went up.
The amount that we have to put in or amount we got?
Of the amount we got.
Yeah,
I'll find out more and send out a note on that.
yeah,
That's the case, if that 50 grand, I mean, I'd go ahead and program that out for at least the next 5 years anyway.
yeah. Yeah, I thought that we,
I thought
I
we
thought
had.
we had, so maybe we'll just check on that, but
So is the line 40 piece, is that project already identified or TBD
Line 40,
34? I'm sorry.
34.
Yeah.
Gary, I can't answer that. I have to get, I'll have something with Sean.
Yeah.
See what the project is. Line 38 is the TDC, we program out, estimate their based on their funding, matrix and operating agreement. We just finalized that, we got some new numbers, I think that number might change just very little.
that's based on.
A
The sales
calculated
tax.
formula, based on their matrix expenses,
So that-
EDA grants.
so that's-
And a 5-year rolling average of the growth in sales tax.
So that's not matrix dollars, that's their annual,
That is, we have so much in the plan. There's a calculation on. There's the operating dollars that's calculated by the formula on sales tax growth. And then we replenish the matrix account.
right?
So when we just take the delta, we got 200,000 that's reinvestment zone,
Yep.
Marketing number.
marketing, that's a fixed number. The other number we have is an estimate,
Got it.
but we just take the total and compare to what needs to be funded. Not, it could be matrix,
Yeah.
it could be the other,
Got
and
it.
take the delta.
Got it.
And I don't know if the 24 is right or 50 something thousand. But it's either 24 something,
it's
it's
close.
24,087 or 50 something thousand.
Got it.
The next is a public safety fee, and that was a fee that we started last year, and it's based on a calculation of residential for City of Temple only, residential, multifamily and lots, and that amount was 2.2 million for 2025. We had that program in hand, and this year with the growth in those, it is now 2.9 million. It would be a net change of 742,000 more for 20, and we're, go ahead, just keeping 27 flat. We'll adjust that when we get the actual amounts. And so we're adjusting both years up by 742,000 in 20, I believe in 28 and 29, because we had it in there for that we have an agreement or resolution or funding agreement for 3 years. There are more than 3 years in the plan, and I'll put in the reduction for those years too. Brent has some presentation on that if y'all wanna
Yeah, I mean, we
go
go
over,
through
you
it,
wanna
but
finish this.
yeah, that's fine, maybe. Brandon, do you wanna go through your presentation?
I just had it ready in case you guys have questions, but,
Well, so I guess like. The way that we're showing it, you're only taking it to 27 because the way that we. Agreed, or last year when this first came up, and we went through the, you know, the logic and why this is in the zone budget. I think the resolution that we kind of came to was, hey, it'd be a 3-year deal so that they could budget for it, but then we'd reevaluate at the end of 3 years, which I assume based on this. Yeah, last year 26 and 27. That's why you're not showing it going forward. Is that accurate?
that's accurate.
Okay.
Yes.
And so I guess growing that by 750,000, that's like a 25% jump, and that's because we had a material increase in the residential lot.
Yes, it's calculated based on the actual revenue generated from residential properties within the zone that from the tax revenue for the city of Temple. So the reinvestment zone fund continues to receive the residential revenue for the other participating taxing entities, but the city of Temple's revenue for residential properties only goes back to the city's general fund to fund. It's restricted under the resolution that we agreed to for public safety related expenses.
And I think not to rehash the discussion we had on this last year, but the thought was that, you know, when we have residential component to within the zone, those tax dollars go to the zone, and there was a need from a public safety standpoint that those dollars otherwise would have been allocated towards public safety, that they're functionally not, because they're being swept to zone. Is that accurate?
Right, there's a significant cost driver of residential developments for police and fire needs. The city of Temple does not receive any taxing dollars from residential properties that are in the reinvestment zone, because those are all real property, whereas industrial property typically has a split between real and personal property, and the participating taxing entities receive the personal property values. So with the significant value and the increasing concentration of residential in the reinvestment zone, there's really kind of two main options for the council and how to address those service needs. But I guess maybe three. I mean, you could delete residential areas from the boundaries of the zone. But that would affect the other taxing entities as well. You could decrease the amount of revenue that the city of Temple agrees to send to the zone. So we agree at 100% at this point. We could drop that down. But that also would decrease overall revenues to the zone, because the other participating taxing entities agreements are tied to the percentage that the city of Temple contributes. So you wouldn't be able to isolate just our contribution. It would drop everyone's contribution. So this is the most, in our minds, the most effective way without limiting the other funding, including the funding that's coming from the state into the zone.
I think the goal was I think the also goal was to do this formulaically and not subjectively.
Right,
You know, so that we could tie it to a number, and so we could be the most accurate
right.
that we could, and then we agreed to revisit this after 3 years, which
That's right.
would be at the end of 2027. And I think, you know, as the zone continues to make investments, zone dollars investing outside of the zone that would potentially drive tax revenue that wouldn't come to the zone, that would go to the city. That was the reason to say, hey, let's do it for 3 years, revisit at 3 years. You know, there's probably the counter argument to be made that specifically when the North Industrial Park and the amount of dollars that the zone are gonna spend out there, that increment is not gonna come. So if we have it,
So it makes sense to revisit it.
yeah, just revisit it. Doesn't mean that we would stop it, or it doesn't mean that we would continue it. It just is a marker for all of us to say, hey, we're not gonna put it in the financing plan. So that we all can come back around the table and do what makes most sense, which I think we've done a good job of doing historically, as a board with the staff. I don't know if you want any other discussion on that. Okay. And we can keep going, Tracy.
Sorry. Okay, line 40 is adjustment to transform Temple, the 72,000. That's based on their budget that is allocated to the downtown area. And also has to do with some of the parking garage maintenance. Parks maintenance is maintaining the right of ways within the reinvestment zone, mowing, watering, etc.
Tracy, just a heads up on that. We just completed our 1 year maintenance on the east-west gateway, which obviously is a significant landscape element. So that has now been turned back, is no longer under Emerson Construction, it's under City Temple Parks. I don't know if any of that's accounted for in this, or if that is the plan, but want to let everybody know that you know, that pristine, what you see out there is no longer under the contractor and the maintenance agreement or a maintenance contract, it's going back to maintenance under us.
I would, my staff and they're listening on that, I know they work closely with Kevin during the budget process. And we're
I just-
aware that that would be,
I know that's a significant
yeah, it is.
landscaping area and, you know, our 1-year contract was over 100,000. But it's also almost 20 acres. You know,
Wasn't there some thought of maybe actually having a third party continue to maintain that?
That's, I think what David is saying is that most of this number is
Yeah.
related to the fact that we will be taking that on and we are contracting it out. We are not doing it in-house, so it is a contracted.
Well,
number.
also, and y'all may have it covered, but I know, and they did a great job, I mean, it looked great out there today. But I know for that 1 year, it was over 100,000 just to
Right.
keep it like it is. And so
It
it
is,
may be 230 is enough, but that only leaves you 130 for everything else.
So I,
it has been bid out, I'm almost, certain. So that, I think that is a real number that will be a contracted, it will not be, you know, it'd be, I think Heart of Texas, is who's gonna maintain it. We do not have the in-house, we do not have the in-house capabilities to do that level of, culture.
Tracy, like for 26, then that 230, that's the increase.
Yes,
So the total budget is therefore then what? How much was existing in the financing plan? Do you-
Dave, well, online of the financing plan that I have,
Yeah.
Gary. Tracy, I don't know if this is accurate, but we had 1,036,000 for zone park maintenance, which is. You know, mowing utilities.
Yeah, so it's gonna be 1.2 then.
1.2,
effectively.
I think, and Tracy, that's not reflected in this, cause I guess we haven't adopted it, right?
say that again.
So like this financial plan that I have, which I think, I don't know if that was on everybody's,
Yeah, that is,
yeah,
the
so-
financing plan you have is not amended.
okay,
It is the
so,
financing plan that you adopted and or approved
right,
July 23rd. But it adds, actual amounts for 2025, and then it has your carry forwards.
and then if I'm looking at if we go to this financial plan, page 103. Which is the third sheet, on line 52, operating expenditures.
Yeah.
Is that the line item so what I'm looking at is 1,036,000. And then we have it at just growing at by small factor, to 1,043,000, what we're suggesting that we take to the board,
It's add 200.
Is
to that.
it would be 1 yeah, 1.3, 1.3-ish, I mean, yeah.
You'd add the 23309,
Mhm.
those are deltas to add.
Which, I mean, I think from a board perspective, we've heard feedback over and over, and then from the city perspective, we've heard feedback over and over that. Their staffing gets more and more expensive, and as we continue to add more and more. Land and parks and our expectations of how they're maintained. Is what's driving that expense, I assume. Yeah. Okay. We'll go to the next, any other questions?
And then, any other questions? And then line 43 was inspection services, 354,807. And that is. Was he added?
You got it?
The 203, 332.
What
Say that
line?
again?
It would be adding, 354,807 to 203, 332.
More than double.
Where, what line item is that?
That is line item 53.
We have that on, or at least, if I'm looking at it right, that has a meta designation, I assume that means meta and not an acronym for something.
Right. So it's for the increased inspection services related to meta construction.
And so this is anticipating all the additional inspection services, or things that may be coming forward.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess maybe help us understand too, like, to decide what, you have to have dedicated inspectors out there all the time, is that what?
It depends on the agreement, but if in the economic development agreement, that is negotiated, that there's something specific that we've agreed to, then of course, but that's not a typical, but it's agreed to for a particular company then.
Some type of rapid turnaround of inspections and things like that.
Yeah, for the Meta project, for example, they're there every single day, at least half a day, many days they're there a full day, just due to the total volume of inspections. You think of the number of electrical conduit, bends, kinks, light switches, all that kind of stuff, it all has to be inspected. And Meta does provide some third-party inspection services on their own, that we don't necessarily inspect every single switch in the facility, but they do have to inspect a certain portion of those. So we've got inspection staff that are there on some of those larger projects, a dedicated inspector, a good chunk of the day.
And I would assume, Brittany said that the rapid deployment has been announced, which is another material ground. So I assume that's what this is, basically allocating for the,
We'll continue to be out there.
and I guess do we have to take that for perpetuity? I mean, it looks like, basically, we're taking this to 2031, is this a time, or is this just
That's in anticipation
Anticipation
of
of-
some
Rowan that's already been announced?
other developments too.
Okay.
Yes, that would be a good example of one where it's gonna be a similar level of service agreed to.
The electrical inspection, building inspection, I mean, it's just not.
And the
Speed.
it's not technically a dedicated inspector, but just the workload that is given, it's almost a dedicated inspector.
So I guess maybe if the zone is picking up inspector costs, is that the bulk of the financial burden of the additional, or the inspectors?
Say that one more time.
I'm all for making sure that these projects go through, because the faster they get done, the faster they show up on our tax rolls. But I guess we're adding dollars to help cover the cost of inspections or inspectors. Is this the bulk of the financial burden that these projects add to inspection services, or is this city having to add? Is the city having to add additional dollars to their budget to cover inspection services because of these projects?
Inspection services. Yeah, I mean, we only added one inspector. So does this take more time, from the entire department? I would say yes, but in terms of what we added one inspector position.
But what we're proposing is for the zone to help offset the additional cost. or
Of that
the
additional
financial burden.
inspector to focus just on
Right,
these projects, yes.
right.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. And I think we want these projects to go well, we want them to be done as quickly as possible. The faster they get done and the less delays that they experience, the better. Yeah, I don't know how long we're gonna have to stay on these.
I just wanna make sure I'm understanding. So that's the expense of one person?
No, that's additional, and I just got a note too, that also includes some operational items. I need to put another slide in, related to the Santa Fe market that's gonna come online. It's about complete
I see.
and any kind of maintenance related to that. So it's inspection and operational and personnel related to Santa Fe market. So does that help explain it?
Well, I mean, to me, those are not, this, probably not the same line item.
I'll slash it and, or put it on a different line item. Better explain that.
And this ties back to 56 on the financing plan, is that right? Is that what I'm understanding?
It would add to that, but as Tyler has said, that it's. I need to break it out as another line. This is a proposed amendment. And I'll make it sure it's in another line item, so it's clear what it is for. And I apologize for that. Yes, but to answer your question, Lacey, it would, as I have it presented, it's gonna be, would have been added to line 56. I think it would be more appropriate.
I guess, I
Either
might-
in the,
Do you have any? I don't have anything there.
well, I've got, I don't know, are you looking at the one that?
Am I looking at the right?
203,
What am I looking at? I'm looking at the wrong.
Right.
There we go. Thank you. Yep.
sorry,
So I think,
32, so it over doubles.
yeah, I
Got
don't
it.
think that's the right one.
That's-
It's this one, but it's line 56, so it'd be down. It's got the blue at the top.
Open red.
Go to the.
This one.
Yep, that one, first page.
Got it. Thank you.
So I guess on that one, while we're on. And we can continue to discuss this later if we need to, but like we have an end date. The 203 ends in 2026, so I guess. When we're adding 354 in 27, it's just a continuation of the 200.
It shows it for 26 though also, right?
Yeah, so I mean, the way I'm showing that this number falls off after 26, which is this year, right? Our current financing plan. So we only have 200,000 offset meta. So what we're seeing is the meta inspection work is going to continue on beyond 26. So you're not really adding 350. You're really only adding 150 because we sunset that 200 that we were offsetting. Is that accurate?
there's the
I mean,
203, 332. That's in 2026. This proposes adding 230,309 to that. And then for the future years,
well, no, it'd be 354, because we're looking at line 43 on ours, right? The 230 is the maintenance, parks maintenance.
oh, sorry, yes, 354,
So we're
Yes.
saying this year it's gonna be 500,000,
yes.
but next year we don't have anything programmed under that expense, and we think that it's gonna continue based on projects that have been announced. Continue
Plus-
to need,
The Santa Fe market
okay,
will continue.
Santa Fe market maybe is a little bit different discussion, but in either case. We sunset the inspection services for Meta in 26, and we anticipate that continue based on new projects being announced. Continue to need those inspection services for probably doubled up because of Rowan and the rapid
Any
deployment.
future ones.
But there's an additional inspection need, so for us to let it fall off, we're saying we need to continue that, is that
And it's it on.
Well, the 354 picks it up.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, I mean,
We were, yes, I think, I can't speak to the specific numbers, so I'll let Tracy get that data back to y'all, but generally speaking, we ended the amount when we thought the project was gonna be over. That particular project is gonna extend because they're building additional phases. And then there are things, that are not ready to be discussed here in an open meeting, but we would anticipate the need for that to continue based on other projects. I guess Rowan would be one example that that has been announced that we could speak to. that would have similar provisions that we would need to honor.
Right. And I think it's just worthwhile to note that the zone is contributing to inspection services of those to help facilitate those projects going as smooth as possible, or as quick as possible. Is that accurate?
Yes, thank you.
So it's quite likely those could have, ideally, you'd want that to continue on
I mean,
forever.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe funded someplace else, but you want the,
Yeah.
you
Well,
want the
and
need for it.
I guess for just the finance, I mean, we're showing this going through 2031. We're not taking that number in for perpetuity, right, Tracy? I mean, we're just taking it to 2031, which, you know, functionally is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 additional years.
Correct.
Yeah, I think we probably should show that
Let me make
stopping in
sure
2031.
That's,
Is that, I mean, I think it's logical to make the argument, you know, for major projects that are probably very specific inspection needs that are within the zone. For the zone to pick up those inspection costs.
It's on here, you're just adding for 5 years, correct, Tracy? These aren't. You're
Right.
not extending these out to
through
2064.
2031, yes.
What is?
So we can verify that, but I guess from just to continue to keep moving going, we. Can you walk us through, is it, we're showing a total source and use of funds as a negative?
Yes, what I'm showing here. Is you had $4.4 million of project proposed sources of funds. And then I am proposing. To keep the fund balance at, $2 million. And by doing so, I put 5.7 million into public improvements. And there was already 2 point something million in public improvements, so I'm adding some excess to public improvements.
So I guess just to make sure that we follow the math. We're adding 4.4 million of additional revenue from these sources. There are some ongoing, some, you know, one-time sweeps of projects. You've got these financing plan amendments that will confirm with the project committee that will be presented us in our next board meeting as needs this, but you've already kind of
Yeah, I'm
guessed on
adding,
the,
see the fund balance before the financing plan amendment?
Yep.
4.2 million of it's coming from your fund balance. It's, what I'm doing is instead of letting it fall into fund balance, I'm adding it to public improvements.
got it.
Is that,
So that's your delta, that's your balance.
yes.
Yeah. So then the financing plan amendment that will go forward with, assuming these projects will show effectively a balanced budget, you know, with $2 million of what we call dry powder in the event that we have a new project that comes up over the course of the next 12 months. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And I look at the highway, the 800-something thousand maybe.
Number
Yeah.
5.
Yeah, so I guess on that item, Trinity, so item number 5, that right away, if we don't sweep that, does that take our dry powder down to 1 million?
It's public improvement.
Public
Yeah.
improvement. Yes.
Yeah, drop down.
About 5 million instead of 5.7.
Right.
Yes, it would lower that.
Yeah, just lower the public improvement. So really in truth, I mean, actually, when we do these financing plan amendments, we have the 2 million of dry powder that really is to use
Constant, yeah.
constant
Yeah.
in an emergency situation or some kind of rapid, but then we also have the public improvement slide item, which currently is at 5.7, which potentially could be at, 5 point or 4.9. And that could be, the project committee had a project that was on the shelf that we had put, and they were wanting to activate that would be funds available. Correct, with an additional financing plan amendment to the board approves, et cetera. Okay.
Okay. So I had some follow-up for y'all, on the Adams right away. The PDC number. Break out the inspection services number. And information on the airport grant. Do you know what, Lester, I think the 50,000 is adding, bringing it from 100 to 150, I think. I have a note somewhere sitting
That makes sense, 'cause this is new money being added, is that correct?
to the
That makes
existing,
more sense.
yeah. Okay, if you, I know we're running, maybe out of time, but I can go into the annual report very quickly. That's up to y'all, what y'all can do.
On that grant, I just wanna make sure everyone saw that there's revenue associated with it, so it's not, you're not increasing your match, you're increasing what would be, the grant is increasing, so we're getting more grant money.
Yeah.
What line was that? I got lost.
The revenue is on line 2 and the expense is on line 34, so it's not, the zone's not contributing an additional 50. We're getting an additional 50 to spend.
Okay, that makes sense.
But wouldn't that be in the top part then?
It is on line 2.
Yeah, got it.
Net zero.
Okay. We got it. Okay, I think if, I don't know what everybody's timing on, maybe if we can get through this pretty quick. Just so we can see it.
The annual report, this is our new map with, shows some annex. Area, recent annexations. And where they fall. We're gonna highlight board meetings, source funds, use funds, scary funds. Outstanding bonds, it's historical investment infrastructure. Board meetings over the past, or during the fiscal year 2025. The board approved 11 design professional services contracts,
Rachel, real quick, what you're going over there right now is not in here, correct?
the PowerPoint stuff. You have the actual.
This is the
annual
actual report, okay,
Yes.
got it.
And it's little bitty numbers, some of it is.
Okay. Some of this is in the report, right?
Correct, I'm doing the highlights.
Yeah, thank you.
12 construction contracts and change orders totaling 18.4 million. On the Temple transmission main line improvement charges, recommend not to exceed 5.4, the amount was much less. They had went through, check all the references. And a change order on the outer loop, 3.5 million. I'll go through, read all of those.
Real quickly, that, of that 5.4 and what we actually awarded, you're keeping that money still.
As we're analyzing what right away numbers.
Okay.
Cause we're still, it's a high level, we need to look at in that.
So there's potentially another 2 million in dry powder.
Yes,
Where we could use those really good unit prices and just go and get ahead on beat.
Going up, or extending.
That's why we have
Yeah.
18 bidders on.
Yep, yep.
Just roll.
Forward, yep.
In the past, also had 4 financing plan amendments last year. Look at the source of funds, actual was 42 million. Budget, is 62.7 million. And we're still waiting, we'll carry forward 18,450,000 for the sale of land proceeds expected from that. Grants, we haven't recognized the grant revenue. We gotta spend it before we recognize it. So we'll carry forward 23.4 million. And revenue are more or less than budget by $2.7 million, almost 2.8.
I guess,
Some of that interest income is, subject to arbitrage, so.
yeah. I guess too, just for the benefit of this group as we work with the project committee. You know, we're showing, going back to this financing plan amendment. You know, on line 10 and 11. And we're showing that 18,450. Of land sale money that hasn't happened, right? So, I mean, we gotta make sure that we,
It's tied to how older has road improvements. The revenue or the proceeds from that land and, the Third Street improvements.
so can we?
As far as not, if you don't get the revenue from the sale of the land, those, you can't move forward with those
Right,
projects.
can we put an asterisk on the financing plan just to
Yes.
make sure that we accurately communicate that, and I think we've done that, that's a carryover, those are carryover projects from last year, we were anticipating those land sales to happen last year. We had not done this before in terms of throwing future projected land sales as a revenue item. Just so that we could go ahead and get the project committee or the project out there and ready to go when they happen. But those 2 projects are on hold until that happens.
Well,
Yes, okay.
I was gonna ask that question anyway. None of this reflects any of our arrangement with EDC for funding, right?
As far as the land transactions and the money coming back,
Right,
no, it does not.
okay. If we do that, does that open that door? To enter for people to ask those
So
questions?
we gotta look at the way our current contracts are, the original, and then the 2 amendments, how that money flows back to the city.
I'm just saying that get a little dicey.
Yeah, I think it's probably,
If someone's looking for a reason to throw stones, even though it's all was done legitimately and embraced and endorsed and supported legitimately, fully by everybody.
I mean, I think it's worth further discussion, but I think from our standpoint. Like there's 2 projects that are on our expenditures
Understand?
that are
Yeah,
tied to
right,
those particular line items.
right.
I think the project chair is well aware of that too.
No, I know, but I'm just saying from our financing plan amendment. From financing group standpoint, just need to know. Those haven't happened, so we've got, but we're not spending the money. We have 2 projects that are not being let until those items. Come through. If they come, I mean, that's where that money's. Tagged, so. Anyways,
Basically earmarked now.
well, I mean,
I think they was anticipated those would have happened 6 months ago, and it was a bit of a timing deal to accelerate it if it did happen, but it just didn't happen.
yeah. But I mean, I think to your point, it's worth.
Yeah.
A full discussion
Yeah,
all the way through of what happens.
Agreed. Source of funds, increment taxes by tax incentive fee. This is for 2025. They have a pie slice. Use of funds, had actual expenditures of 58.8 million. The budget was 135.5. We rolled forward almost $75 million of that to the next year. 73.3 million of that is, public improvements. There's some downtown Temple, transform Temple dollars, some strategic investing zone, professional fees, and the clearing at Frostwater Jones Park. And more or less than budget, had 1.7 million. And most of that is made up through the road agreement, 1.6 million at the top. That was programmed over 3 years, 26, 27, 28, and the $26 rolled into fund balance. 27, 28, we're picking up with the financing plan amendment. This just drills down into public improvements. Actual spent on the outer loop, the different parks, different projects. It drills down into the public improvements of 30.6 million, just showing what those are.
Is that outer loop? That's what, north and south, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
What's the completion date of the, from Winland to I-35? Summer?
Currently, it's fall of 26 with the latest change order.
Can we drive on it before?
I'll
the change
just-
orders? Can we drive on it before the change orders completed?
Only if the contractor related.
Well, yeah, I mean, it depends. Theoretically, the way it's phased, we're gonna tie in at Pegasus. And so from Pegasus back, you'll probably have that done. They're saving I-35 piece, connection I-35 for the last, for specific reasons. So in theory, you could, I mean, I need to price it out, update video to everybody, but we've got it paved. It's asphalted from Pegasus up to the bridge now on the east side.
It's not a whole lot of money to put.
Do I?
It's not a whole lot of, I don't know how much of that's the outer loop, but.
So that's all, it should be all outer loop north. Bridge. 17 is all outer loop north.
Loop south.
Yeah, the city, outer loop west one, which is the south city temple, did that under with K Tempo.
That 800 some odd $1,000.
There's no right of way money in that.
There's the right of way money. So we had right of way money in there for West 2, which is the south connection to
Yeah.
I-35.
Yeah.
That was the one that I think Tracy's gonna go back and make sure.
Right.
Do we want to sweep that or not?
Yeah.
But that 17 should be all outer loop
All
north
of it,
3,
okay.
Winland I-35.
Yeah.
Just the change in fund equity, the beginning fund balance was 77 million. We had sources of 42 million, uses of 58.8 million. And other financing sources net bond amount in the refunding showed as a source, for an actual decrease in the fund balance of 17.8 million. And an ending fund balance of 59.1 million. And if you look at our fund balance, the 59 million, 1.6 million of that is reserved for arbitrage interest earnings on bonds. We have the carry forwards of 51.5 million. And then the, fund balance allocated for 2026 projects, 302, to bring our available fund balance up to 6.2 million. And again, that's where I used for over 4 million in this financing plan amendment to take it to public
On
improvements.
the arbitrage, that's money we have to pay back because it was over.
Because we earn,
I know,
we don't meet the spending requirements within so many months. And we outsource that calculation, but it's when you earn more.
so there are funds available, that are, Federal Reserve.
The slug stuff you talked about.
Yes, that you are not subject to arbitrage. I mean, to potentially you put your money in that and not have to pay it back because the federal government owns it. This,
I'll check it out.
yeah, I lost a lot of deposits that way. In a transaction. It's better for the municipality.
I'll check it out, Tyler, talk more to you about it. Could save that 1.6 million. We have negative arbitrage.
That's interesting.
Before you, the financing plan that I did pass out, is not the, has nothing to do with the amendment. But it's the one where we had the adopted financing plan. For 25, column A, we show the actual amounts in column B. We carry forward the amounts in column C, show those. And then you have your adopted financing plan as it existed for 2026. Combine all of that, column E, and you have your revised financing plan for FY 2026.
Which column E doesn't exist on our sheet?
Why not? It does, it's just isn't labeled.
So
I'll change that, Alan, thank you.
so it's not labeled and it's also doesn't reflect the changes that we talked about, right?
It does that, but not your financing plan, proposed amendment,
Not these,
right?
right? So what we'll take to the board, and obviously happy to entertain any discussions with anybody. If you have a chance to digest some of this stuff, I think it's first time for all to see this, but I mean, Bob, what you'd take as a financing plan amendment to the board would be the effective column E plus these items, assuming the project, these two projects.
Right.
would
And you'll
be-
have a presentation on them, what the amendments would be.
Yes.
We normally do.
And we would propose that as our financing plan amendment in our December meeting, which would make all these funds available immediately to the project committee, right? Or to let some of these projects. Right,
If amendments still take 2 readings, it counts, right?
Right.
Finance plan,
sorry, yeah, sorry.
Go to the 18th and then first meeting.
Yeah,
in
18th,
January.
first meeting in January, you're good.
Right, so these particular projects, these two design things would be available, be let in January that we could get started on. Right, at the latest, yeah. Okay. All right, that's a lot, and there's a lot of moving pieces. There's actually 750, what is the line items, 750, there's not that many lines, but there's
Too many.
3 pages worth of small print of lines of revenues and expenditures. I appreciate Tracy and her team. It takes an inordinate amount of time and effort to get through these, and also to realize that they left $40 million off the tax rolls, which is not the first time that you've found big.
That would generate how much additional revenue potentially?
It'll be just for Bell County and, yeah, Temple. So it should be, I think about 4. I can't do my zeros right now, Bob, what's 1% of 40 million? 400,000?
400,000.
It'd be an additional 400,000,
So
approximately.
that would not show up in this finance plan amendment, but like,
If I learn anything about it between now and tomorrow, I will include it, otherwise it will be a future one.
right, but because of your team's efforts, that one is picked up. We also had like FedEx, that whole facility was left off 1 year. So anyway, point is, I appreciate you and Melissa and your entire team and the diligence that y'all spend doing these. We appreciate the additional 1% of growth that you gave us this year. That we get to spend.
It was hard.
Should be doubled.
You
Doubled.
doubled it. So, again, any questions anybody has between now and our next, full board meeting, feel free to reach out to me or to Tracy or anybody in the team.
Okay, Melissa, I think she left me a good little packet of notes. But I will look into that other info, if I tell you anything wrong, I'll follow up on you.
Anybody else have anything? Great,
Yeah.
I think we are adjourned and we can shut off the recording.
Thank you.